there. This is just a very quickly and hastily recorded video. I'm on my way out the door, but you know, something has just propelled me to write or to record and blog again about something that just happened. You know, it's been a week of quite a roller coaster of emotions with regards to, you know, news, views, sex, politics and religion, which of course are the three subjects that are fueled by many debates. But the first thing that I really want to talk about is there's this past week, and thankfully in Cape Town this past week, that raging fire that started off on the slopes out on the other side of the mountain where I live, is with a stunning view of Cape Town's Table Mountain. Absolutely stunning. And we had these awful fires that started a week ago on Sunday, and it started out at the Muizenberg side, which is literally on the other side of this mountain. I can't really see anything, and it went on for days, and it was awful. The devastation, the fire, the burning, the loss of life, the way the firefighters and everybody came together. It was amazing. It was really fantastic. And I just had a friend from Canada, and the reason what propelled this video recording is I had a friend from Canada that called me in concern and said to me, you know, Z, are you okay? And we've been reading about this, and how are you doing? And in my reply to her saying, you know, it's fine, we are okay, and it really hasn't affected me. And I realized there's a double entendre there with regards to that it hasn't really affected me. It has and it hasn't. And what is strange about this is, you know, I tried to analyze later, what is it about this fire that had me, because I'm a rather emotional being, and I tend to, you know, feel things quite deeply. And this fire, while it affected the entire city and people, expats from across the world, and you know, it was covered in the media 24/7. It was an important news event. Let's not forget that, and the devastation and the loss of life, and unfortunately also a firefighter lost his life in trying, and they were working 24/7 trying to, you know, and then a prayer chain started, and it was wonderful to see people and the community come together. But back to writing, you know, to her about it and telling her about, you know, the distance from here to there, and that I was okay. And I realized I was also distanced not only from the actual fire, but the actual story. And usually, I mean, besides the safety aspects and not driving in that area or going to look and see what is going on, I would have been more interested in other stories. I don't know, and almost ashamed to tell this story, but I feel that it needs to be told from my perspective anyway, is that this story was something that I was literally distanced from. Well, for two reasons. Number one, the week that this happened, my television and my access to video and news was disconnected. So I didn't have as much of that filtered through to me in my face all the time. I saw it, yes, absolutely, on headlines. I saw it in news clip. I was online all the time, news feeds, Twitter, all of that. I could see that the news was happening, but you know, despite all of that, and now telling the story to my friend and saying, you know what I saw was a lot of people coming together. What I saw was a community that was banded together. But what I also saw, and the distance for me, was white people. And you know, I tried to analyze as to why the story didn't mean as much to me or didn't touch me as deeply as it should have. Now, don't get me wrong here. The title of what I'm going to put this on, Muizenberg fires, Cape Town's fires, why should I care? I should care, but why should I care? These are white people with white homes that rushed to save their homes or their horses or their dogs or their whatever and their possessions. And they all banded together, and it was all white people, and the nation came, you know, from other white people, I'm sure, but also people of color. But I just felt as if this was a white people's problem. You know, it was all in the white areas, the Noordhoeks, the Muizenbergs, Muizenberg is an integrated area, but Tokai and all of these. And I feel almost ashamed of saying it, but I want to take ownership of it and verbalize it, because as I was writing this letter to try and tell her, you know, it really didn't bother me, but it did. that conflict, that ambiguity as to what this fire meant and why it didn't mean as much to me, was because it was white people. And you know, the extent of which apartheid has affected us, the extent with which we have been forced to think in these compartments, and me feeling the way I do, that this was, it was white people, I'm sure, you know, there's going to be people that is going to be outraged by what I'm saying. And I'm not saying it for controversial reasons. I'm trying to say that for these people that we have these discussions on race and politics, and when we talk about these things, and when we say things like, or at least when white people say things like, oh, you people better get over it, it's been 20 years. This exactly is the reason why we cannot get over it. It is exactly because of fire like that. And I mean, my heart poured out to the firefighters and to the people and to the animals and to all of that. And yes, to the people, of course, who lost their lives. But the fact that there wasn't more emotion invested in me, that didn't, because it was white people, you know, whatever. But I didn't feel that deliberately. This only came about me writing this letter to a friend of mine, and these feelings. This is why. This is the result of apartheid. This is the lack of empathy that you feel for certain people that is not your people, that you know nothing about. Noordhoek, I've never driven into Noordhoek, any of the streets in Noordhoek. In Tokai, I've never driven into Tokai. I don't know anyone who lives in Noordhoek, not one person that I know of personally. Does that mean I shouldn't care? But as a tour guide, I drive through, I drive past, I show people all the beautiful spots. But the only people that own homes there is white people, as far as I know. Please, I stand corrected. But what I'm saying is, I feel for people. I feel for what the loss that has been, that everyone suffered with regards to this tragedy. But what I'm also saying is I feel less, where I feel I should have felt more. You know, the donations and the radio station and the way people rallied was amazing, but it was white people helping white people. And there were some people of color that helped out, and of course the firefighters were all a mix of white and black people. But what I'm saying is, if the same fire happened in Athlone, or if the same fire happened in Gugulethu, or these shacks that burned out, and the same people, or different people, suffered the same kind of loss, where they lose their homes not just once but twice or 3 or 5 times in their lifetime because they live in shacks. You know, I wish the community would rally as they did now. I'm sure there are people that do rally, white people that help black people, but do they help because they have a sense of compassion? Or do they help because they feel sorry for black people? Or do they help because they are financially able to do so? Now, in this case, with this fire raging the way they did and people helping each other, did white people help each other and help their white brethren because they were white? Did they show the same kind of empathy for the fires that happened in Khayelitsha or Gugulethu? And you know, I don't wish to make apologies for this because I have no apology for it, but I wanted to verbalize and say, I feel for what has happened. It is a devastating loss to so many people, and I'm sorry for those who have lost their lives, who have lost their families, the effort that they had put in. But put it into context in terms of what apartheid, yes, apartheid still rears his head, and if you tell me once again, if I hear any other person tell me to get over it, think of this moment and think of what apartheid has done to make me feel less for my fellow man. This is apartheid. And that is what it's done. So I wish everyone well. I wish that the rebuilding of lives, not only for this fire, but the rebuilding in the new South Africa happens as fast and as quick as it can. We should talk. Let's talk to each other. Let's talk the truth. Let's confront. Let's heal. Let's pull off the plaster and realize that there is still so much healing to be done, that there is so much hurt underneath, that it is only about trying to come together, trying to build a nation that is truly built on truth and honesty, that we can move forward. So please, I ask you not to take this personally. I ask you to take it all in context. I send out my love. I send out my prayers. I was one of those people who prayed for rain. And I was one of those people who thanked the Almighty that it did rain to bring relief to all of those in this fire. So please, I ask you, to take this in context. I ask you to take it in the form of reconciliation, in that it's nothing personal. But I hope that it made you think. I hope that you keep watching. And remember, I'll see you on the other side. Bye.